Welcome to our platform for investor education. My name is SG Badrinath. I have been teaching and studying financial markets and equity markets for the last 30 years to students who are undergraduates or MBAs in both the United States and in India. Over this period of time, I have worn several hats. I have been an investor almost always. I have been a trader occasionally. I have been a consultant. I have managed money. I have been a scholar who writes papers that unfortunately for me, very few people actually get to read. At the moment, I hold the Canara Bank Chair of Finance at the Indian Institute of Management in Bangalore.
I write about financial markets, but from the point of view of the households. For 20 years, I have written in newspapers, magazines, some television shows, podcasts, radio, digital, social media, workshop, the works, to take my message of financial empowerment to the households. Many of these lessons I've managed to plug back into policy and regulation, but the one thing that my takeaway has been is that every household wants their money to do better, but they simply don't know how. And that's what we hope to crack with this series. I am Monica Hallan. I am consulting editor with Mint and the author of the best-selling book, Let's Talk Money.
I think what you're saying, Monica, is that people need to be thinking about their spending habits, their saving habits, and how to organize their money and their cash flow before even thinking about making investment decisions.
Yes, and the default of people has been to do fixed deposit products. But they don't understand there's an impact of taxation and inflation, which really takes away from purchasing power. But before we get to the market, which is really something that you want them to, the markets that you love so much, there's a whole lot of work to be done in creating your money box and getting your housekeeping of money in order.
Get your financial house in order, in other words.
Absolutely, before you jump into the markets.
Okay, so Monica, we've learned how to separate our spending money from our saving money, but the thing that I find in India as well as elsewhere is that people are not really thinking about or planning for emergencies that might happen in various parts of their financial lives.
Correct, yeah, and that's really the reason that they don't want to put money for a longer term because of an emergency. They want to keep money liquid. And you need an emergency fund as the first financial product clearly that you buy. After you've done your cash flow, you need to build an emergency fund. And it includes about 6 months of living expenses into that fund.
For the average person, but for individual people, it might be different.
It could be different, but then we have a table here. Which tells us how much you need to put according to your life stage into this emergency fund.
And financial condition.
Of course.
Yes. So the first stage will be to get people to organize their cash flows.
Absolutely. This is one of the first, really, baby steps is about cash flows. And I have a simple way to do it. I set up actually 3 bank accounts. The first account I call my income account. So any source of income, whether it's salary, rent, profit, dividend, all falls into one bank account. The second account is called the spend it account. And you're taking away approximately whatever you spend every month. You're taking it away and putting it into the spend it account in the 30 seconds that your salary hits and moves it away. And what is left is put into your third account. I call it my invest it account. And this is really savings as either a residual or a target. What we are trying to do is we are trying to separate out our spending from our saving. And that's the purpose of this 3 account system of moving away the money into a safe place and labeling it invested.
So Monica, I want to pick up on this business of putting money into different accounts. What I sometimes find is that people, when you send money into different accounts, they put different weights on those accounts and even treat them as having different exposures to risk. As an example, one young 30-year-old that I met said, this account is my retirement account and it's got to be safe, so I'm going to put it in government bonds. A neighbor who got an unexpected bonus from his company decided to go out and buy a car that he could no longer afford because it was accounted for and rated differently. So that's the kind of issue that I worry about when you put money into different accounts.
What I've done is that use the insights of behavioral econ and tricked ourselves into separating our spending and saving and preventing ourselves from raiding that investment account, because when you label something investment, then you really hesitate to dip into it for a gadget or holiday.
Make it difficult to get into.
Absolutely. And people who have followed this 3-account method, they do so hesitatingly. In 6 months, they all come back and say, I did not know how much money I have saved. That's right.
So just by putting it into these accounts and making it easy to manage.
Right.
That's fascinating, isn't it? So you're saying, Monica, that the emergency fund money should be in a place that people should be able to access very quickly. Maybe it can even be in like a savings account. Even though it earns a tiny amount of interest, they will have access to money very quickly.
You can bump it up a little bit from a savings deposit, go to a fixed deposit. But the only thing which can happen in a fixed deposit, suppose you need to withdraw mid-term, is that you will lose 0.5 percentage point of the interest, not the principal. So use that. Or if you know mutual funds, you can go use an ultra short-term debt fund with low credit risk. Now, if you don't understand, don't go towards it. But if you do, these are nice products. And as you go up the education ladder, you will understand that even a conservative balance is a great product for an emergency fund.
But the key still remains that you have to keep it in a place that you can access quickly with liquidity.
Your markets will have to wait.
Right. Definitely. We'll get there. So we are in the middle of the pool now, aren't we? Investors are not jumping off the deep end without having to plan spending and saving habits and everything else.
We are far away from the deep end, and it's going to take a lot of practice before we get there. But we've got off to a good start because we have our cash flow in order and we have the emergency concept in our minds.
So to sum up, step 1, cash must flow.
Step 2, emergencies need a fund.
We are not going away. Come back for more.